Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and this is episode number 9. Today, we are talking to Britney Young. I have known Britney for a few years now. She's one of those actresses that I've sat and had this sort of, weepy coffee conversations about what's happening in her life and her career, and I was just trying to tell her it's all going to work out for you, and so now it has. She has a series regular role on Glo. I'm so proud of her. If you haven't seen Glo, then you're like the only one because it's hella blowing up and everybody is watching it. She's taken a little bit of a side journey, different from a lot of other actors. She didn't wait tables. She worked in the production side, and she's one of the few actresses that I know that I can have a conversation with about the behind the scenes because she is really informed with it, and I think that's really given her so much perspective on sets for auditions, and so I want to talk to her about that, and I think that you guys are really going to enjoy it. We're sort of refining our segments and getting into really what we want to be doing as far as this podcast is concerned and how it best serves you. So I would like to know, what is your favorite parts of this podcast? If you have elements about it, like what is it about it that you like? What would you like more of? Go ahead and email me at audreyhelpsactors@gmail.com. audreyhelpsactors@gmail.com. I just want to know, what is it that speaks to you and what do you want more of so that I can bring it to you. Also, I realized in the fall episodic segments from last episode, I didn't include where those things are filming, which I think is an important part. So those locations both were in Los Angeles for Young Sheldon and A Future Man. I promise I will do other ones that aren't just shooting in LA for all those listening in other demographics. All right, enjoy. Audrey helps actors because they don't know anything. Hi, everyone. I'm Audrey Moore, and this is
Britney Young. Hi, guys.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hi.
We're going to be talking about your show, Glo, but more importantly, this podcast is for actors who are currently in the trenches, who are working hard. So it's not so much to promote the fuck out of you and Glo, though we're going to do that just by happenstance.
Come on.
It doesn't need it, though, you guys. It's like hella blowing up. But I do want to talk to you just about like the transition you've had since graduating from college. So we know each other from
Groundlings.
We took a Groundlings class
years
together,
ago.
Yeah, it was.
Shout out to the great Tony Sepulveda.
If you are going to take a Groundlings level 1 class, take a Saturday day class, because they won't tell you who the teachers are, but he does Saturdays 9 a.m. and Saturdays at 1 p.m. And I've had like all of the teachers in the world, just so you guys know. Like nobody's taken more classes than I have, okay, in life. I'm certain of that. Tony, arguably, I'd say like the top 3 or 4 teachers I've had, period.
Agreed.
He has been teaching improv since, God, like 1970 or something, probably, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony, I don't know how old you are.
Just kidding.
Just kidding, since 1995. And so we met each other there.
We did.
Britney is very good, you guys. She was super great in improv class, and I'm not just saying that because she's sitting here. As you guys know, I sort of created this podcast because everyone's always asking me out for coffee to sort of figure out what I can tell them to help them save their careers.
Yep.
And Britney was no exception to that. So do you want to tell them about like that time in your life and the coffee and all that?
Yeah, I mean, when I asked you out for coffee, I definitely was at that point where, because I worked in production, which we'll talk about, I just did not know how to transition over. I didn't know where to get reps. I didn't know where to get auditions. I didn't know even what to do for headshots. Like I was completely lost in that side. So asking you out, I think we spent like 2.5 hours just talking about everything. And I just wrote everything down on my phone and then went and followed all the steps that you told me to, and here
you are with this series. Oh, I must be so smart. No, what I really remember about that is, this is true for a lot of people that I've had that convo with, is just saying to you, how old are you? And do you remember how old you were?
I think I was 26.
No, you were
you
were just about to turn 27.
Yeah.
And I said, are you 27?
Yep.
And you said, I'm about to be. And I said, here it all makes sense, because there's something about the magical 27 where everyone freaks the fuck out. And it's because when you graduate from college, you think like you're going to be famous by 27.
Yep.
And it's really something about like staring 30 in the face that everyone sort of is like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And 30 is like now looking like a reality.
Yep.
And I don't have like my billions yet.
Yeah. It's the college, or it's the high school reunion. You don't want to go back to your high school reunion and be like, oh, no.
That's what it is. Yeah. So why I brought you on is because you took an alternate route from a lot of people. So you graduated from USC in
2010.
Great.
Ooh.
Ooh. Oh my God. Here it comes, the 10-year college reunion.
But I majored in film, but then had a focus on critical studies, which for people who don't know, it's literally writing papers about lighting and the use of the color pink.
So fucking funny.
Yeah. It's kind of a joke, but it's a great
awesome.
It's a great school.
It's a great school.
Great school.
And great program for
yeah.
being in it, for going straight to the business in LA.
Yeah.
And so can you tell me why you majored in that instead of acting?
Well,
and did you take acting classes while you were there?
I didn't take acting classes while I was there.
I can't, right? Because it's conservatory, I think.
Yeah, so the theater school and the film school, I mean, they're separate.
Right.
The reason why I did film was because I kind of panicked before college, where I was like, I know I want to act, but I want to go to school. I want to get a degree. What can I do to kind of set myself up so I don't have to be struggling when I get out? So I was like, okay, I want to maybe produce someday. Let's go learn the history of film. Let's go learn how to make film, you know? So that's why I chose to go to the film school there.
I can say 100% that there's really like 4 people like that I know that are actors that I can talk about the other side to, and you're like one of the 4.
Yes.
Where when we talk about like production and like even what we were saying before we filmed about editing and all that sort of stuff, like being able to see the choices that the creators, the filmmakers are making and how that affects the actor.
I mean, definitely, like, it was funny when I went to Glow, all the girls knew I was coming from the production side. So we'd sit there and be like, why are we just sitting around? I'm like, oh, because we have to like move the camera and we have to relight. And they're like, what? And I'm like, oh. Or they'd ask me, when are we getting one lines? And I'm like, well, I don't work in the office, but I would assume we'd get it probably a couple days before the next episode.
Right.
You know, like I knew what was happening, which I did.
Did you feel that on set that helped your attitude?
Oh, yes. It made me appreciate it so much more. And it's like one of those things, guys, you're sitting in the hair and makeup trailer at 6 a.m. and a PA comes and asks you what you want for breakfast. If they bring you the wrong salsa, do not freak out, because guess what? They're getting salsa for 20 other people. Yeah,
right.
like it's
the
one of those things.
Show.
Yeah, like it makes me appreciate so much more that, hey, don't worry, I'm going to be one less thing on your plate because I know you have a huge deal. So I'm going to do it myself. It's just one of those things where you just start to appreciate everyone who's working to help you.
I just think that we can all contribute to the bettering of the image of the actor. And that starts with us understanding really our part in it and being really gracious to everybody involved. Did you wait tables?
I did not.
And can you tell me about that choice? Did you know when you graduated that you were going to be an actor? Did you know that going in? Were you like, I'm going to go pursue acting?
When I graduated, I was like, I want to take a little bit of time off. I'm going to go mooch off my parents and live for free and just relax for a little bit, because I'm about to be working for the rest of my life.
And how long did you do that for?
I did that for maybe about a month and a half.
I like that that's your version of taking time off. Because BTW, you're so like me. You're such a workaholic. Because everyone else does that for like 5 years.
Yeah, no. I thought to myself, when I saw my first student loan bill, came out of college with $63,000 worth of debt, which is not...
Ooh, hurts my heart.
It's not the biggest amount I've heard out of my friends, but it's not the lowest amount.
No.
But I saw that bill and panicked and was like, I can't wait tables. I need a steady job. What am I going to do? And then what kind of happened? So I'm from Alaska.
Yes.
So when I went home for my parents, I went home to Alaska. A movie came up there. It originally was called Everybody Loves Whales, but it was renamed to be Big Miracle. Okay. It starred John Krasinski, Drew Barrymore. Yes, I remember this. Yeah, Kristen Bell. They wanted to shoot on location in Alaska because that's where the story takes place.
Right.
And in the newspaper, they were like, if anybody has any experience, please put in a resume. We're hiring for the office. And I was like, I don't have any experience, but I have a degree.
Yeah.
So let me try. Put in my resume, got a call from the UPM, Robin LeChenu. And
you want to tell them what a UPM is?
Oh, yes. It is the unit production manager, which basically you're essentially the manager of the production office. You work with the line producer on the budget, you hire people, you make sure the AD's got their schedule correct. I tell
people it's like the manager of a restaurant. Like you're handling all the nuts and bolts.
Yeah. and ended up getting the job. And that was my first kind of step into the business, was working as a production secretary in this office.
And then you moved out to LA.
Moved back to LA right after, and then was unemployed for about 6 months. And then finally, the accountant who was on Big Miracle, Jill Rosenblatt, she asked me, she's like, I know it's not what you want to do, but I need an accounting clerk. We're starting up in about a couple weeks. It will run through the rest of the year. Do you want to do it? And I thought about it for a really long time. I was like, I don't want to do accounting. I don't want to do it. But then I thought, if I want to produce movies, if I want to produce TV, I need to know where the money is going. I need to know how the budget works. It was eye-opening.
I bet.
Like, it was on the movie Savages, and I freaked out when we bought Uma Thurman's character a $3,000 purse that didn't even make it into the final cut.
See, that's what I fucking love about the other side of the business, and people just don't understand. Like, that's real, and that's like nothing.
Yep. My first transition into a TV show, I actually was the director's assistant / executive producer's assistant, and that
was everything.
That was everything, because you really, like, you're involved in every single aspect of a production when you are the director or you're the executive producer.
People come to you because they can't come to the director or the assistant or the executive producer.
I'm the gateway.
That's right.
Yeah, to them. So, and, you know, I worked with David Nutter, who won last year the Emmy for Game of Thrones. He was
not too shabby, you guys.
Guys, every episode he does, someone gets killed. But he was so great because he wants to teach people. Yes. He wants people to learn. So
I remember that for you.
Yeah, he was like, come on this scout, come to this meeting, come to this test. Like, he was so great in keeping me involved, and I learned so much from him.
And how did you get that job in particular? Because I know there's a lot of people who sort of want to know about because personal assisting, so you guys know, it is a lot of work, but you definitely will learn so much if you have the right person that you're assisting for. So tell them about how you got it, and also maybe what they should look for when interviewing. Yeah,
so I mean, that one I got, my friend from a previous show had gotten an email that was like on an email blast from a coordinator. Yeah, we're looking for an assistant. I put in my resume, had never assisted before at all. But when I went into the interview, I kind of researched both Nutter and Cyrus Yabna, who was the other executive producer I was assisting.
Wait, so you researched?
I researched.
Like a job interview?
Google. Crazy. But I looked them up and was like, what have they worked on? What did I like that they did work on? And mostly our interview was sitting there and kind of just discussing Supernatural, because they both worked on it, and we talked about it, and I told them what things I liked about it and what I didn't. And then, of course, you know, just being like, what are your goals in this industry? Of course, I kept the acting side to myself, because let's be real, I wanted a job, you know, but I told them honestly, I want to learn how to make a TV show from the top, you know.
So tell me about the decision not to tell them about the acting side. And if you recommend that to people, and why.
I recommend it if you also have the intention, like I said, I do want to produce.
I know you do.
Or like, it's a smart choice to take a assisting job to a producer. That's what you want to do. That's what you should do. But I know that a lot of people freak out. And of course, at this time, I didn't have any reps. I wasn't going out. So I wasn't going to be leaving work to audition or having to, you know, say, hey, I booked something, I got to go. When I started doing that and I was an assistant, I could tell that people were like, I need someone who's a little bit more dedicated to this job.
I see.
So in that aspect,
you recommend
keeping it to yourself. But again, don't go after a job that you don't want at all.
Yes.
Like, there's no reason to take a job that's keeping you from other goals.
I really recommend that if people haven't, because a lot of actors have an interest in becoming multifaceted, in becoming actors, writers, showrunners, and everyone has this feeling like if they take time away from acting at all, that it's going to like disappear, like that the business is going to disappear on them, and they have to stay focused. And I just encourage you guys to think bigger for yourselves, and that if you take 6 months to personal assist for somebody as big as that, that is so worth everything to you. And whatever money you're losing or time you're losing, just know, if you say to your agents, listen, I just got a personal assisting job for the executive producer of Game of Thrones, I fucking promise you, your agent is only going to hear connection to executive producer of Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
They're not going to hear my actor is leaving. And listen, you're probably, like, for most of you making this choice, You're not like coming from your series regular to go
to
executive produce.
Assist. Yeah.
So then they would maybe be sad about the money they were losing, but like you're not making them money yet anyway. No. So all you're doing is creating another connection for them. I promise you, they are going to be so excited for you. If every actor took 6 months to do that, ooh, we would change this business.
Oh yeah. You can still act. Like while I was doing this, I was in a web series that only shot on the weekends.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, yeah, it's not going out for NBC or CBS, but it's still working on your craft. It's still fueling your fire in what you want to do, and it's getting you
were doing improv classes on the weekends and the evenings, things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
is what most people are doing anyway, except what they're doing is they're waiting tables, and then they're doing acting classes on the side.
Yeah.
And instead, maybe go do a personal assisting job for somebody, and then do your acting on the side. What is your perspective now from the other side on the casting process? Can you tell me about that?
It's very eye-opening because, you know, basically when the producers get these tapes, it's whoever the casting director has narrowed it down to.
Like 3 people, 5 people.
Exactly. Like I think at most the most tapes we have ever gotten, I think was like 10.
When you were assisting.
Yes. Like we would get 10 tapes in from the 100 that just went in for the session.
And how often was the casting director say, I have these 3 or 5, but this is the one?
It depends on who the casting director is. I mean, I've definitely worked with some where it was like, here you go, pick whoever you like. And then I definitely have a couple who are like, I feel very strongly about this person.
And would it be would it be the same casting director? Would mostly be like, whoever you want, and then sometimes be like, I feel strongly about that person? Or were there casting directors that were like, every time they're like, this is the person?
Yes, that one, the latter. Okay. Yeah. So it was, you know,
either the casting director as a whole, their style was whoever out of these 5, or they were like, this is my pick.
This is the person. Yes, exactly.
And did you know enough about those casting directors to know about them and their, I'd say, reputation, experience, length of whatever? Like, were they sort of all equal as far as their level in casting?
Like, I worked on The Mentalist as the showrunner's assistant there.
UDK.
Yeah, and so our casting department there had been there for the full ride. Right. Yeah, so they were kind of to the point where it's like, we know what you guys like. We're going to try to, push these people on you. Whereas when I was the showrunner's assistant on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Felicia Fasano, amazing, would bring in all types of people and just be like, hey, I really have a strong feeling about this person, but here are some other options just in case.
And then when you watch the director and producer make the decision, can you tell me, because I tell people, so you can confirm or deny this for me, that it's like when you get into that final group, like the 3 or the 5, everybody's good. Like, they're all good. And what the director and producer are looking for is like, does this person's look and type help us tell the story the best?
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, it's rarely the question of why did this person make it in this batch? It's usually why didn't this person get picked? And usually it's because, like you said, we really like that person. They're hilarious, they're funny, or they're so dramatic they made me feel, but they don't look like they can work well off of our lead. Person. They don't really mesh in with our ensemble. You know, it's a lot of those things, which I think you don't really...
People tell you that as an actor, but you don't believe it when you start, because you think like, I can outact anything.
Yes.
But what I tell people is like, you have an essence about you, and your essence, and which is like your look and your face and your voice and all those things. When somebody's casting, they don't have to choose the person who's really good. I tell people like, being really good is the baseline requirement to be one of those 3 to 5 choices. And what's just, you know, part of the environment now with theatrical is we used to have callbacks. So you used to get feedback that you were working properly because you knew if you were one of those 3 to 5 people. And now you don't know.
Nope,
it just goes into the ether. And your only feedback for your agency or managers is really, do you get called back into that office?
I don't know. It's also too, like when people come in, you know how you always, or at least, I don't know, my reps usually tell me, will be like, I don't think I'm right for this at all. Why are you guys sending me this audition? And they're like, no, you could be the person that changed their mind. I've seen that happen where like a tape will come in and it's just like, this is not at all what we expected. And they just knock it out of the park. And I think in that aspect, that's when the pure talent kind of comes in.
What I tell people about that as far as talent is concerned, and this is what I really like wish that people can understand, is like the secret to that is really understanding your casting and understanding what you bring.
Yes.
In addition to understanding the story. because sometimes what they're asking for, you're getting brought in, and what you naturally bring, like the thing that I, Audrey, bring, isn't what they've asked for. I can see what that thing is and how it can serve the story even better sometimes, or what I bring to it that maybe they wrote it for somebody who's edgy. I'm not edgy, but if I bring this girl, that's equally as funny and maybe something that they haven't thought about. And I do that, I'd say, frequently enough. That I just have an understanding of like what I bring, what I don't bring, what the story requires, and if what I bring can be fit into that as a piece of the puzzle. But wait, Britney, wait. I have to interrupt you.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you shit you didn't know about your union.
So for today, for shit you don't know about your union, I want to talk about downgrading. This is another commercial thing. I promise I'm going to bring you some theatrical. Right now I have like some commercial ones I'm going to get through. But if you have ever booked a commercial and then when it aired, your face was not in it and then you didn't get paid for it. For those of you who don't know, when you do a commercial, the way that you get your residuals is that you have to be recognizable. So if it's just the back of your head sometimes, or if they cut you out completely, you are downgraded. And then what happens is you just don't get checks. But what I want you to know is there's actually a downgrade rule per our union. So if they haven't sent you a downgrade letter 15 working days from the air, or 60 days from when you shot. Okay, so 15 working days from when it airs, or 60 days from when you shot. 60 working days meaning like, Monday through Friday. They owe you those residuals. Okay, they have to send you a downgrade letter. Now, many of them will say that they sent you a downgrade letter, but when they send you a downgrade letter, they also have to send you a check for an additional payment of your session fee, for your first session fee for when you shot. So if you shot a commercial, you never got your session fee and a downgrade letter, and then you got cut out of the commercial and then you didn't get your money, you can file a claim and you are owed money. So I recommend filing a claim. Don't go back maybe more than 2 years, but I want you guys to know this is really cool. 90% of claims made to SAG-AFTRA result in money. 90%, you guys. So when you think about your union, and you guys have all this crap on your union, I just want you to know, love your union. You have to work for your union and your union will work for you, but it requires you knowing these incredible parts of your contract, which are there to get you money. I have friends who've done it and it's resulted in thousands of dollars. Also, about the last one where I said about signing in, I just wanted to let you know, I heard from somebody who said the following: claimed and received my audition overtime check. It was actually way more than I thought it would be. It covered my child care from the audition and then some. Sign out. That's for commercials, not for theatrical.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Do you want to talk about being a plus size actress in Hollywood?
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people I think are scared to use the word typecast and scared to use the word pigeonhole. I use it all the time because that is what has happened to me.
And it's your way in.
Yes.
It's like I remember Charlize Theron and her talking about Monster. And she talked about like all of her previous work was like, 'cause she was a model.
Yeah.
And she said, I just knew my way in wasn't going to be the juicy, incredible roles. I was going to be hot girl whose tits bounced.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to stay there forever, but that was my ticket to the show.
Yeah.
And so not shying away from your ticket to the show. And then once you've got that, then go from there.
Yes, exactly. I mean, again, I'm very grateful for every role I've booked, every audition I've gotten. But definitely starting out, it was a lot of, anything for some reason that the physical character description is heavyset. It's usually followed by intimidating, bully, mean, sassy, which, I'm sassy, but I'm not a mean sassy.
No,
I'm not that at all. So I was definitely going out a lot for bullies and, these punks and all these people, which I think for those who can't, and even Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, what I loved about it was that it wasn't necessarily that because I was plus size, I was going to be this bully.
But you're not just plus size, you're also tall. Like, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I was going to say
you're not like 5'6" and plus size.
No.
You're 5'10" and plus size.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where it's like, I love walking into rooms and seeing girls who are tall. Like, that's what they're kind of looking for. Because I have, and we've talked about this before.
Yep.
I see the same 5 girls at every audition I go to. And I'm just like trying to think, is that good for us? Or does that really mean that there's not a lot of parts for us or not a lot of girls going after parts who are like us, so it's one of those things where you really have to think about it. But with Glow, what I really enjoyed was that it was different. They were still asking for, a bigger physicality.
A bigger physical presence.
Yeah. They were just saying they want someone who is taller, possibly more heavy set. But what I loved about it was that they wanted, I remember the word exactly, they called Carmen a gentle giant. And I'd never seen a role with the physicality in the breakdown that was asking for someone who was kind and who was sweet.
And so what I really want to talk about that with regards to casting is, I can't speak for the other actresses that you are, those other 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But what I will say about, in particular, your face is that you have a really sweet face. And what I tell people is it's all of that is what helps get you the part.
Yeah.
I think that if you had a mean, because some girls have bitch face.
Yeah.
And if you
My
have
sister.
like a mean, grumpy bitch face, then I don't think you'd get that part.
Yeah.
But you would get other parts.
Yeah.
You would have gotten all those bully big girl parts,
Yeah.
right? Where they like want somebody to be mean.
Yes.
But what makes you interesting is your physical stature in combination with very sweet face.
Yes.
That to me is like your ticket to the show.
Yes.
Like figuring that out.
Yes.
And most people feel like, well, I'm just so interesting. It's like, well, we're all interesting. And what you have to do is figure out, how does like my essence, how does that match or not match my physical presence?
Yes.
And so if it doesn't match, that can be okay too. You just have to know what it is so you know how to fit it into a puzzle.
Yeah.
And if it does match, that's great too, because then you're sort of like an easy sell in the sense of like a mean girl face with mean girl body. Know what to do with her.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, it's interesting because I will see things in breakdowns and just be like, oh, they're looking for a bubbly, outgoing scientist. And I'm like, oh, can you put me in for this? And I won't get the audition, mostly because they will look, they will see my headshot and they'll be like, oh, no,
they bring me in for that.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's, I think it's very interesting. I'm starting to learn, if they say heavy set or plus size, I'm automatically in.
Yes.
Like, regardless of what the character description, like the personality character description is, if I fit that physicality, I'm in a heartbeat.
Yep.
But when it's something that I actually can play well, like
casting
bubbly,
wise,
and character, it's just, it's very hard to get in. And I think that, unfortunately, we got to do a better job of that because, like...
Well, so why don't you take a second, because a lot of people listening are actors who are also like you, developers, writers, creators. You want to say anything to them about that?
I think it's just one of those things where you got to open your eyes to what really is represented in the world.
Right. That a lot of bubbly scientists are of all shapes and sizes. Yeah. I also want to say, do you want to talk anything about being a diverse woman in this town?
Oh... It's almost the same boat. I mean, unfortunately...
Do you want to tell people who maybe haven't seen Glow or don't know you, like, what your diversity is?
Yeah. So I'm mixed. I like to call it Halfrican, hashtag Halfrican, get it started. My dad is black. My mom is white. And for me, it's one of those things all my life. A lot of people have been like, well, what are you? I can't really tell. Or when I say, oh, I'm black, they're like, oh, see, I would have thought you were white. Oh, I'm white. Oh, see, I would have thought you were black. I get that a lot. But... I think one thing, unfortunately, I thought about Rashida Jones. I love her. I've never seen her play a full black character. She's always got 2 white parents or she's mixed. She's never all black. And I think that I'm unfortunately kind of in that realm now where it's like, okay, you can be light-skinned, but you can't be light-skinned black.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
When kind of just like the physicality part comes up, when it's like, oh, we're asking for a black actress or, mixed ethnicity, a lot of the time it is still kind of going into those stereotypes of like,
so do you have that feeling of like you're not black enough or white enough?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. So it's almost, I really enjoy people who are like, I mean, as much as we don't like to say it, and I don't know why, ethnically ambiguous.
No, that's really a huge thing.
Yeah. Like a lot of people are just like, oh my God, like I wish I was ethnically ambiguous so I can go out for, no, you're not going out for all these roles. You're not. You're,
Yeah.
you know, or it's something where you're going out for an ethnicity that you're not at all.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten a lot of
well,
things.
they say you're Cheyenne in the
Yeah,
show.
exactly.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. So it's just, there are so many limited roles for women of color. But I don't want to take an opportunity away from someone who is actually Mexican American or Hispanic
see.
or Latina. I don't want to take that opportunity away from
that's
someone
fair.
who's working just as hard to get this opportunity as I am.
So can you tell me what was the audition process like for Glow? And did you test? Like, what was the story?
It was very interesting because I've never had a casting office send you sides direct before.
Oh.
I've never had it. And they actually sent them to me before I even got the appointment from my agent. So I was very confused.
And who was the casting director?
Jen Houston. She's
Great.
based out of New York and she does like Orange is the New Black.
Right.
But I got the sides and kind of read through them and like, okay, I can do this. This is fantastic. So we had to prepare 2 scenes. And then in addition to, Glow is based off of a real or inspired by a real 1980s wrestling show about all female wrestlers, which was called Glow. And in the show, they would do these raps, similar to the Super Bowl shuffle that the 1985 Bears did.
Yeah.
And we had to prepare one of those raps.
So funny.
So it was kind of one of those things where I was like, yes, like this is, I'm loving it. Like I got to just do these 2 scenes, prepare the rap. They told me not to wear makeup and wear gym clothes. And I was like, psh, in.
Done. Right.
I went in and I was actually the last girl for the day, which I really appreciate because not that happens all the time, but I went in and did it a couple times and Jen really worked with me.
Oh, good. Jen was in the room.
Yeah. And
Cool.
it was just she and I, and she's like, let's do it this way. Let's do it that way. And instinctively in my head, I was like, oh, she doesn't like it. Like, darn it. I'm really
When
bombing.
really she was like, I want to see what you can do.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for actors. I had that when I was probably around your same amount of experience. I had auditioned or I had booked something and they kept giving me direction.
Yeah.
And I thought, God, I must be really biting it. But it was actually because I could do it and they wanted to see what else I could do.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I'm just in there. I think, in all honesty, this never happens. We had a 40-minute audition.
Yeah, that's
never happens. And like we just sat there and just like shot the shit. Like she asked me a bunch of questions about myself. But walking out of the room, even though I had this connection to her and I had a connection to the character and really, really wanted it, I immediately walked out, called my agent, was like, I'm so sorry, that ship has sailed. And not to mention too that like that week, that week it was my second series regular audition. I auditioned for another show and I was just like, dang it, why am I not like booking these? Why am I not doing well?
I like that you have 2 and you're like, I can't
I know.
do it.
I was beside myself. So I told him, profusely apologized. He was like, oh, we'll get the next one. Literally 10 o'clock at night, he texts me and he's like, check your email. And I was like, okay, check my email. I have a callback for the next day with Genji.
Cool.
Genji Cohen, who's our executive producer, created Orange is the New Black, and our creators, Liz Flawhead and Carly Mensch. And I was like, what? This is insane. Like, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, I was like, okay, what did Jen and I work on? Where did we end up to where I could go in and feel confident about it? Yeah.
Right.
So
And was the next day?
it was literally the
the
next day. It was around the same time. It was like 5 o'clock in the
Okay,
afternoon.
good. So you had the next day to sort of work on it.
Yes,
Good.
exactly. So I went in and it was definitely a callback. Like you can kind of tell when it's like they're just bringing you back or they're specifically bringing girls back. Yeah. So it was like me and 2 other girls. We not the same part. And I kind of just sat there and I was like, okay, like you can do it. You can do it. Walked in and Jen introduced me to everyone in the room and she introduced me and she's like, oh, this is Britney. And for some reason I thought it'd be funny to make a little joke. And I was like, and hope to be Carmen. Crickets.
I know.
Not even a smile.
Like,
not even anything. And that kind of
defeated you.
No, it actually kind of, I thought it would, but it was almost like, okay, I didn't get them there naturally by just being Britney. I got to get them as Carmen.
Ah, cool.
So I kind of went in there and it's funny because in that same podcast, Allison that you were talking about with Mark says how stern face they all were. They didn't laugh. They maybe smirked a little bit. The exact same for me. They didn't make any emotion. And I was just like, okay, well, I feel good about it. Maybe they didn't like it, but I'm proud for what I did. And found out a month later I'd gotten it.
So you didn't test for it?
Didn't test.
Okay.
I mean,
I thought it was interesting that they said that they tested.
They tested for those 2 roles. I don't think that they tested anyone else, but I do know I was one of the first one cast. Like I think it was like Betty was cast and then I was cast.
I see.
So we were very early and had to wait
for everybody
else to get cast.
That's interesting. What's it like going from being a girl, just so you guys know, when we were in improv class, she like couldn't go out afterwards. Or she would like be like, I can't go out. And I'd be like, why? And she'd be like, I don't have money. I can't afford to buy a drink.
Nope.
And I was like, girl, I will buy you a $6 drink.
No
like,
money.
it's just
no money.
And she felt so bad about it. She's like, no, I don't want you to buy me a drink. And so what's it like being a girl who not too many years ago couldn't go out with her improv class because she couldn't buy a drink, to being a girl who's now a series regular?
I mean, it's very surreal. I don't know that it's really honestly clicked for me yet.
I bet not.
But nothing's changed.
Yeah.
I still probably wouldn't pay for a $6 drink. I still wouldn't make you pay for a $6 drink. Now it's almost like I was very satisfied going to working as an assistant and going to all these things. But now I just really can't wait to get back to work.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't feel like it's a job. It feels like I'm really hanging out with my friends. We're making a TV show. I'm learning. I'm laughing. I'm crying. You know, it's satisfying. It's fulfilling. And I don't know that in that way I had that in previous jobs before.
But wait, Britney. Wait, I have to interrupt you.
It's time for Shit Your Reps Won't Tell You. Real advice from real agents.
Dear actor, do not ask me, can we strategize and sit down? Because I've put you in 8 rooms in 6 weeks, and the only strategy you've got is you're not booking. Thanks.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
And do you feel like things have changed? Because it's been out for like a week, right? So what's been happening career-wise for you? Like, are your agents calling you more? Like, I tell people, like, people think that, like, that happens. And then suddenly, like, the phone doesn't stop ringing. And
I mean, definitely, audition-wise, I don't see, like, I mean, yeah, it's only a week, but I don't really see much difference. I honestly didn't even see much difference, like, doing the past couple months.
Waiting for it to
just
come out.
waiting for it to come out. I will definitely say on the press side, like on the publicity side, it is a lot more, but only because the show just came out and people want to talk to us and get to know us. I'm okay with it, you know, like I don't want to be like all of a sudden hit in the face with this huge life change.
Cool.
You know, I like that it's gradual. Yeah, because like you said, like everybody wants to be famous, but will you get there? Who knows? Like, that's not really my end goal, but I want to enjoy the ride, and I am enjoying it immensely.
That's great. Well, I think you also just have so much perspective, because like you were on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, you got to see what happened with that, you know, like you got to see nobody expected it to be what it was, and then she got a Golden Globe, and you know, and then but now the show is not doing well, right? No. You know, you go from such high highs to low lows, and you have no control over any of it. Yeah. How is it getting a publicist? You got a publicist this year. How's all that action? How's like the publicity world? So you guys don't know, like, part of what happens when you get a show is that you make some choices. And one of those choices is like, do you get a lawyer? Do you get an accountant? Do you get a publicist? Do you get a stylist? And just so you know, like, so actors, you make this series money, but then you gotta hire all these fucking people. And so don't get excited about the money you're making. Just don't get excited because you may need to go and give that money to people, and that's a reinvestment in your career. So you decided to get a publicist. I did get a publicist. Talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, and we talked about it.
Yeah, we did.
I was against it at first because of the money issue. And especially now, I haven't worked since we stopped shooting. Like, I've been auditioning, but haven't booked. So it's like, do I want to spend my money that I've saved and I'm living off of on people who may or may not be able to potentially get me anything? But it's been really great. You know, they've been working with Netflix to get offers on, you know, magazines, TV shows, all that stuff. And it's been really, really great. I'm noticing a little bit now within the past couple weeks, it's really kicked into high gear.
I think probably what I hear is people don't really start to notice the effect on their career till like 6 months to a year.
That makes sense.
I probably, especially with Netflix, because it's streaming and people take a while to catch up on streaming. But it's like it happens and there's a wave of like nothing, and then when the wave comes back, of like pitching you and things, then it's like they're seeing the pictures, then they're seeing the articles, then there's the buzz, and then you sort of have that benefit of just being a little bit more of a presence.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I think it's really interesting because I talked to Allison helped me a lot. I mean, she's been through it before. She gave me a lot of advice. Right. And right now it's good because what we're pushing out is not necessarily ourselves as a product. We're trying to push out this show. And she told me, you know, get a publicist now, but you don't need to keep them. Like when we go, if we get a season 2, fingers crossed, I don't need them while we're shooting because that's what my job is then.
You'll be shooting.
Yeah, I'm not going to be out and promoting. And then after that,
you'll be back promoting.
Yes. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a 3-month chunk right now, which I'm getting things and they're helping me out. And, you know, I'm getting some things on my own, like this amazing podcast. And then come season 2, I'll come back around. And when we need to promote the show then, I'll get it. You know, get them again.
I'm so with you. And then I want to talk about a stylist because...
Which you helped me with as well.
I did help you with as well. I'm just so helpful, you guys. Audrey helps actors. No, you got a stylist, and we had this conversation because you were grumpy. I called you. Didn't I call you? And I was like, listen, I'm worried about your outfits.
Yeah, because I ain't got no style, y'all. I got no style.
I think I straight up called her out of nowhere because I do this because I'm so nosy. And I was like, Brittany, your show's coming out. I'm worried about your style. And you were like, yeah, I've got none. And I was like, oh, girl.
Well, and it's like, that helped because, you know, we met with your friend Retta, which she was amazing.
Should we shout out Retta?
Yes.
Retta from Parks and Recreation. We met with Retta, who talked to you about being a plus size girl and where to shop.
Where to shop. Let me try on her clothes.
What's so great about that is the acting community is so great. I've known Retta for a while. We did a play together ages ago. I can just text her and say like, hey, no, I haven't seen you in a while, but I've got this girl who needs your help. And another actor gets it. And she's like, I get it. So come on over. Like, let's get to work.
Yes.
And that, I think, is what's so beautiful about this community is everyone really does want to help each other. You guys just have to ask for help.
Yes.
And there are people there who want to help you.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Okay, so we tried on clothes.
And from there, I went and bought a lot of clothes. And I was very proud of myself. I was like, yes, I got a style. And then I did, with my publicist, we did a spec shoot, which is just basically you take a bunch of photos, and when you do interviews with people, if they don't want to do a photo shoot, they just pull from that. And they kind of were just like, we really would like you to get a stylist for this specific shoot. And I was like, all right, I don't really want it, because like you said, they're expensive. So I was like, I don't really want to pay that much money. What can I do? Like you just said, I asked for help, asked our costume designer from Glow, Beth Morgan, if she would help style me. And she was like, I will help get you some clothes. I will work with you on your budget, on your time. We'll just set you up, get you a couple pieces. So it's like, I'm grateful to her because she got me those kind of red carpet photo shoot pieces. And then Retta helped me get those pieces that I can wear out and about, TCAs and panels, like I want to say comfortable pieces because that's what it is. It's like,
because you and Retta had some things to discuss. Like you guys, like you get hot.
Exactly.
Like, I don't get hot.
Yeah, I get hot.
And so that's the thing that like I was, and that's part of why I reached out was I was like, because I mean, I'm good at style, you guys, but like I was like, style. I don't know about fitting your body type. I'm not trained in that area. Like if somebody comes to me and has my general body type, I'm like, here, I can help you.
Oh yeah.
But for you, it's like, I didn't, like I would have never known that was a concern for you. And she was really able to be like, oh girl, yes, because this, and here's what you got to do for that.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I think too, what I've noticed is with the publicity side of things, like we said, we're promoting this show, we're promoting this character, but at the same time, this is the first time that it's me.
That's right.
You know, and I think
it's you coming out for your career.
And I think that starting out, I was like, sure, I'll get this, I'll do that. And I was very scared to not disappoint, but like really give my opinion, because I was like, these people know best. They know what you're doing.
Yes.
But then I had to turn a switch and be like, but wait a minute. I'm not
my style.
Yeah, I'm not on a show anymore where I'm playing this person. I have to be that person. I am being myself. I'm the one who makes these decisions now. I always think of like singers back in the day were like Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera, where Miley Cyrus, where they had to like break out of these. I was trying to fit into this little mold that all these people were telling me, and now here's my real self. I don't ever want to do that. I want to be me from the beginning, because that's what's comfortable for me.
Well, and that's what I said to you in particular about style, was I was like, what do you like? And because you were really uncomfortable about the idea of having to go do all this. And I was like, I want you to think long term. And I want you to think bigger. And I know that that's hard, because you're from Alaska and I'm from New Mexico. And we are very similar in the kinds of states we're from. Okay. And so we have similar feelings about money and spending it and all that sort of stuff. And so I said to you, I want you to develop your own sense of style. Yeah. And I said to you in that, because you were talking about being uncomfortable with the clothes and making these choices. And I said, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to know that there are plenty of actors who don't do carpets. They and if they do, they wear sneakers and they wear practically their sweatpants and they do not, their like style is that they refuse to get styled.
Yes.
And I said, like, if you want to go to this premiere wearing your Target shirt and your sweatpants and tennis shoes, like, do that. And that's your choice, because I don't want you to be unauthentic to yourself. But if you want to be the girl in this dress, then let's prepare for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
exactly.
you did. And you said, I do want to be in the girl in the dress. And it's like, cool. So then let's.
I just have to find the comfortable dress.
Right. Well, and that's it. But it's work, right?
Yeah.
It's real work.
Yeah.
Like, all that stuff is real work. And that's what I said to you. Like, it's not easy. So you need to decide, do you want to do that work? Or do you want to not do that work? Because both are completely legitimate choices.
Oh, yeah.
But let's be prepared for which choice you want to make.
Exactly.
But wait, Britney, wait. I have to interrupt you.
And now it's time for the new show rundown.
All right, so the fall episodic I'm here to talk to you about now is actually an HBO show. It's called Here and Now. It's a new HBO show by Alan Ball, who's the creator of 6 Feet Under. This shoots in Los Angeles and Portland. The basic premise of the show, it's Kurt Russell, I believe. I don't know who's cast. Okay, it's Kurt Russell. I think it's Kurt Russell and somebody else. Anyway, it's really great. It's basically, it's like the perfect family in Portland, Oregon. And what they've done is they've adopted like their own United Nations of children. So they've got like a kid from Somalia, a kid from Vietnam, and a kid from Colombia. And then they have their own children in addition to in the mix. They're all sort of at various ages. It's if you remember 6 Feet Under and the tone of that, I'm sure it's going to be similar in tone. What's really great is there's lots of casting opportunities similar to 6 Feet Under. There's a lot of casting opportunities for everyone. I'm sure that because it shoots in Portland also, they'll take people from New York. They'll take people from Chicago. So beyond that, age range, it's really anything from the kids' ages all the way up, because it's the whole community of Portland. So they've got teachers, they've got people who work in the stores, they've got, everybody involved in that whole community, kids, friends, all that sort of stuff. So it's really lots of age ranges, lots of casting opportunities. It is cast by Bialy Thomas. So these are the casting directors who did Walking Dead, they did Gotham, Better Call Saul. So if you were on any of those shows, just know that they are now casting a new show for HBO. Call your reps, email them, see what the story is, and just let them know that, remind your reps about your fantastic relationship with Bialy Thomas and that you heard about the show Here and Now and you think you might be right for it, and just to keep an eye out. But remember, don't be an asshole to your reps. Just a gentle reminder. Good luck. Get those auditions. Get them. Get them. Oh, get them.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
What's the hardest thing about the business for you?
Time management.
Do you want to say more about that?
Time management, mostly in regards to, kind of like you were saying, when do I get time to recharge my batteries, sleep, say no, and just de-stress? Yes.
Yeah, you don't really get to feel like you can turn off because anyone might call you at any moment.
Exactly.
What's the best thing about the business for you?
Finally finding, like I said, like that fulfilling enjoyment. I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be on. I don't feel panic. I don't feel stress. I don't feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
What do you wish someone had told you or managed to get you to understand when you were just a wee babe considering this business?
I think I wish someone had told me it's okay to be scared and it's okay to sit there and actually be realistic.
Oh, good.
I thought that maybe I wasn't doing, I was
enough.
Or maybe I was letting people down. Or for a while, I didn't tell people my dream was to act because I was working on the other side of things and I wasn't doing what all my friends were doing, like bussing tables and going out for audition and taking classes at the time. Like I felt almost like I was being one of those like fake people, like, oh, I want to be an actress, but like I'm a secretary, you know? And I think that it had someone told me it's okay to take the path you're taking and to be scared
that it may not work out, or that
yeah,
it won't
that is okay.
Things.
Yeah, all you have to do is just try and just let it happen.
And trust that you're going to work it out along the way.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I had a therapist once because I'm such an overachiever. And I was like when I was 27, I was like, I was in the same place. And she was like, let me introduce you to a concept. It's called building your life.
Yeah.
And I was like, She's like, you don't have to have it all built already. And I was like, I don't?
Yep.
She's like, you are building it.
Agreed. Thank you, therapist.
Thanks, therapist. UCLA therapy. It's really cheap. It's great. I recommend it. What is your biggest struggle right now, personally and professionally?
I think my biggest struggle right now is because we are overachievers. We need to constantly be working. It's the downtime. I almost feel a little bit, and even with my publicist, like if I'm not constantly checking up on them, it's not because they're not doing the work, and it's not because I don't trust them. It's because I feel like I'm not doing the work. I'm
totally with you. I mean, I have to like constantly check myself not to be a crazy actor. Yeah. And because it's not desperation for me anymore, I can say. It's really like, I just like to do shit. Yeah. And for me to sit and watch television without also doing something else is really a struggle for me. And I know that's not true for a lot of people, but I do know what I would really like to work on is not having my day be devastated or made by the fact that I get an audition call for tomorrow.
I can understand that.
If I get the call, I'm like, yay! And if I get no calls by like 7:30, I'm like, another day down the tubes.
See, even with that, like when I get those calls too, I'm just like, yes, like things are going to start going. Things are happening. Yeah, I almost like, I just have to think or like remind myself, just because I am not moving does not mean the machine isn't moving.
Oh, that's so wise.
You know? And
so
I think,
wise.
I mean, like, I say it, but like in 2 days, I'm going to be like, oh my God, I have an audition in a week.
I know you'll call me and she'll be like,
yeah, exactly. And like, I don't think that will ever go away. I think I will just become more secure in it happening.
Great. Yeah, I think that's true. No. That's an internal thing that we talk about a lot on this podcast. Do you have any questions for me?
I mean, I have so many, but do we have time? What do I do with my life? No, just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
Yeah, we have time.
So I have a question.
Yes.
What do you think about taking classes while you're actually like on a show?
I think it's really great, and I think it would be really great for you. Yeah. I do think that hours-wise, as far as the training is concerned, you haven't put as many hours in. And I think that for you, you are in a really great casting. And by that, I mean, when I think, who else do I know that's like Britney? I don't know anybody. Yeah. And that's a really, but that's a really good thing. Because when I think of people like Audrey, I can name like 20 actresses. And I think that what I see for you is just a building of confidence because you already have all the skills. Yeah. But I do see sometimes a little bit of like maybe almost like you don't feel like you get to sit where you want to sit at the party. And I think that you should feel like you can sit there. Yeah. And I think that the classes will help you. And I want you to know it's actually very common. Yeah. There's actually a lot of series regulars out there. Not a lot. There is a solid amount of series regulars out there who are taking classes in the interim. Okay. My teacher, the great Milton, used to say, first you take class so that you can be ready to work. And then you work. And then you take class so you can do the work that they don't let you do in the outside world.
That makes sense.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And there's a lot of people who do that. If you want recommendations for those kinds of classes, I have some really good ideas for you.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. But I really recommend more scene study for you. You've done improv, right? Have you done on-camera audition?
I did an on-camera audition class for a very short period of time. And then, I mean, I definitely think I need to do more because that is, I mean, like I said, like I just walk out of auditions and I'm just like, nope. You know, and you shouldn't really be feeling that way. And I don't think that it's necessarily...
Some people always feel that way, just so you know.
True.
There are some people who will forever feel that way, and that's just a thing about them.
Yeah.
And what you may discover is that you don't have to take that seriously.
Yeah.
That's just a feeling and not a reality, and that's true for a lot of actors.
Yeah.
And what other classes have you taken?
I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I've taken a few scene studies classes, but unfortunately, one of the things, the downsides about being an assistant is you're essentially working set hours, but not being on set. And that does limit what you can do in your personal life a lot. And it just, I couldn't, you know, there's a lot of classes that I did that I couldn't keep up with because of work.
Yeah, because scene study requires a lot of time outside of class to be putting into the work.
Yeah, and I couldn't do that.
But I think that would be really great for you. I'd say I would take like, you know, maybe a year and really just see if while you're not shooting you can put some hours into that. I just think you'll fall in love with what I see as the real breadth and width of what you're capable of. You just don't know it. Part of why scene study is good is that you often work things more like theater and stuff in your class. Yeah. And for an actor in plays, the actor has to be doing the work because the camera isn't doing it for you. Your type isn't doing it for you. Yeah. So you have to do it all for you. And I think that would be really cool for you.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Any other questions?
This is a weird one and it's random. Do you send out Christmas cards to casting directors? Many people ask me this and I'm just like, I don't know the answer.
I go farther than that. I do drop-offs. Oh. And the rule for these drop-offs, though, you guys, is no home-baked goods. Usually they throw those away because they don't
trust it.
Know if you're going to give them food poisoning. Yeah. No offense. But something that is like personal to you is what I recommend. Like last year I had finished shooting in New Mexico, shooting Godless, also on Netflix. Yeah. And what was so great about that was I got actual stuff from New Mexico that wasn't, and don't spend a lot of money. Like each thing is like $5 less. And also if something like that isn't authentic to you, then don't do it because then it smells of desperation. Yeah. It is authentic to me. I'm that kind of person who is like, here's some little like guacamole dip mix. Yeah. Like here's a red chili sauce, you know? And so I did that because that's sort of like, I just came from New Mexico. I'm from New Mexico. I was shooting Godless. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm back. Yeah. And so it was kind of about that. But I do that and I find it to be very successful. Yeah. Definitely to anyone you've ever booked with. Yes. And definitely to anyone that you have a relationship with, though, but maybe you haven't booked. So somebody that you feel like you've made a strong impression with. Yeah. I do, as you know, I make a list of everything that I audition for. Yes.
Which I started doing too.
So on all and I'll just go through that list and anyone I auditioned for last year. Yeah. I do a little something for. Okay, so we're going to do social media. You can plug yourself.
Okay. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I greatly appreciate it. You'll see a lot of pug pictures and, you know, random nerdy things. But I am on Twitter at It's Britney Young. Britney is spelled Britney. And then I'm also on Instagram at Britney Young.
Mildly interesting, recommendations, something inspirational, any weird pasta you ate, anything like that.
Huh. Mildly interesting.
I can go first if you want me to.
Yeah, you go first. I gotta think about it.
Okay, I'm going to recommend Gly Oxide, you guys. This is really weird, but here you go. Okay, so I get canker sores. I have an allergy to citrus, particularly oranges. It's genetic. Thanks, Mom, for telling me when I was like in my late 20s. But if I like eat an orange, I swear to you, like a day or two later, I get an ulcer in my mouth. Oof. It's not hella herpes, you guys. It's like usually it's an allergy, or it's like, you know, when you go to the dentist and they like and they poke a hole in your mouth, and then a lot of times people get canker sores. They're like these like gray things. Hella painful. I've gotten them my whole life. Two things. Gly Oxide is something you can get on Amazon. Once you start to feel a canker sore coming, you put it on the canker sore and it disappears. You have to put it on a lot, but it can disappear. And also for actors, if you get one and it's particularly painful and you're filming, which has happened to me, you can actually go to your dentist. Not all dentists do this, but lots of them in LA do. Mine does. Dr. Formaker, he's on my Audrey Helps Actors website, and he has a laser and he can laser it, and it's healed like within an hour, which is really great because for some people I get like little mini ones, but some people get like sores the size of a dime, and they're hella painful and will really fuck you up and make you super grumpy. So I recommend Gly Oxide if you're prone to getting them, and I also recommend going to the dentist. And also a little tidbit of information for those of you who get cold sores, that the laser works really well on cold sores. So if you have a shoot and you start noticing that you're getting a cold sore, call your dentist immediately, find out who has the laser, Dr. Formaker does, and you can get your cold sore lasered, and it's gone in like a day. And you can, even if you've like waited too long, you can get it done more than once, and like it's gone, and you can cover it with makeup, and the whole thing is healed up. So I know a lot of people get cold sores, and it's really embarrassing, and it's hard for makeup to cover it. So this is the way to do it. So it's like $40, you guys, and your cold sore is done. Go for it.
Okay, so I'm also going to recommend something, and I'm going to be a little bit geeky. I love reading books, so I'm going to recommend a book that I read twice this year. First read was last year, and now I read it twice. It's about to become a movie next fall. It is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Actors should read it if you're any bit interested in 80s trivia, 80s references. This is the book for you. It is one of the most genius things I've ever read, and I'm very excited. Steven Spielberg is directing the movie. Ty Sheridan, TJ Miller. It's going to be a great movie, but it's coming out next year. Ready Player One. You got to read it.
Well, thanks, Brittany.
Thanks
for coming. Everybody watch Glow. I can't tell you, it's so great. I'm really like, I'm so happy for you, because I know that it doesn't, I have lots of friends who get shows and things, and it doesn't mean that it's the success that Glow obviously is, and that's so great, and you so deserve it.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you. And don't forget your towel. Next week on Audrey Helps Actors, we're going to discuss a couple of different markets. We're going to discuss Chicago. I have Andy Cameron, who has just moved from Chicago. We're going to talk about the Chicago market, what it has to offer you, and if you are in Chicago and wanting to move to LA, we're going to discuss that transition, because I sort of talked to him about that transition since he's just moved. Also, I'm going to sit down with two girls from the New Mexico market. As many of you know, I am from New Mexico. I have worked locally there, and I have the two girls come over, and we discuss if you should take a few months or a year or permanently move to New Mexico to pursue acting. We're going to discuss what kind of roles you'll get, what kind of money you can make, how much New Mexico costs, and the sort of projects that are done there. So I highly, highly recommend these episodes if you are interested in various markets. Also, if you know somebody who is working as a local hire in Atlanta, but is in LA for any reason, email me, audreyhelpsactors@gmail.com. I want to interview them. I want to know about the Atlanta market. The show is produced and edited by Jesse Lumen. He is a writer, director, producer, and virtual reality genius and wizard. If you are creating a current virtual reality experience, please look him up and get in contact with him, because he is on it. So special thanks today to Britney Young for her time and being so honest and generous in her interview. I'm such a huge fan of her. I'm sure you will be too. Don't forget to follow her on social media, because she really wants to get those numbers up. Also, special thanks to Thomas Snodgrass for the mic assistance and providing us with an extra mic here and there. And special thanks to Aalok Mehta for all of his help and work on the theme song. Music this week by Ari De Niro. All right, you guys, don't forget your towel.